Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, as Minister of Economy, I rise to inform Parliament of the 50th annual meeting of the Asian Development Bank Board of Governors that was held in Yokohama, Japan, from the 4th to the 7th of May 2017. As part of and alongside the ADB annual meeting, the Fijian delegation, which included the RBF and government officials, also held several bilateral meetings. Just by way of background, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the ADB was established in the early 1960s as a multilateral development bank and a financial institution to foster economic growth and cooperation in one of the most vulnerable regions in the world, Asia, which includes Pacific in their purview. ADB assists its members and partners by providing loans, technical assistance, grants and equity investments to promote social and economic development. ADB is owned by 67 members, 48 from within Asia and the Pacific and 19 from other parts of the world. Fiji became a member of the ADB in the year 1917. Since then, the ADB has been working with the respective Fijian governments, approving $509 million in loans and $32 million in technical assistance for the country. ADB supported Fiji's largely directed to improving its transport infrastructure and extending the supply of clean water and modern sanitation to residents across Fiji. Honourable Deputy Speaker, ADB and the Fijian government worked together through the country's partnership strategy, CPS 2014-2018. And over this period of strategy, Honourable Deputy Speaker, ADB anticipates an allocation of $350 million to help Fiji overcome its key development challenges. ADB has also been instrumental, Honourable Deputy Speaker, in securing the $32 million US grant from the Green Climate Fund for the water and sanitation project that extends between Nassori, Suva and Lemi. This year, the ADB annual meeting was attended by more than 5,000 participants, including governors and their respective delegations from member countries. Governors meaning also ministers, and that's the terminology the ADB uses. Representatives from multilateral and bilateral institutions, business leaders, academics, and members of the global financial community and civil society. Furthermore, Honourable Deputy Speaker, our attendance to the ADB annual meeting provided a valuable opportunity to meet with the ADB President, the ADB management and with the Board of Governors to discuss matters relevant to Fiji, and also provide an opportunity to meet with the higher level delegates to talk about issues that apply on a regional and global level. This year, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Fiji had the tremendous opportunity to chair the 27th Pacific Development Member Countries, or the PDMCs, meeting on behalf of the 14 PDMC consisting of the Cook Islands, Federated States of Micronesia, Fiji, Kiribati, Republic of Marshall Islands, Nauru, Papua New Guinea, Republic of Palau, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Timor-Leste, Tonga, Tuvalu and Vanuatu. On the 3rd of May 2017, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Fiji presided over an informal preparatory meeting with the governors of the PDMC to discuss a number of key issues relating to PDMCs, the common developmental challenges and opportunities. A particular focus was paid to the state of vulnerability of the small states from disaster risk and climate change, and the importance of ADB's strategy for 2030 to be designed to appropriately respond to vulnerabilities of small island states. Followed by the preparatory meeting, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Fiji chaired the PDMC Governors meeting with the ADB management, which included the ADB President, whereby the common issues of PDMC were presented to the ADB management. These included A. Fragility and vulnerability. Firstly, the PDMC proposed a nuanced approach to measuring and indexing vulnerability and fragility to enable access to concessional finance when it was necessary for the PDMC. This is an agenda that Fiji specifically has been advocating both at the ADB level, the World Bank and IMF level. In particular, Honourable Deputy Speaker, we highlighted that there is a need to look at trigger-based mechanisms where countries can access concessional financing in the event of adverse climatic events. Honourable Deputy Speaker, adverse climatic events can put even those countries that would not normally be classified as vulnerable states into that of one. This is so because even singular high-intensity and erratic climatic behaviour can set back the economies of some states for decades, which would require special treatment and consideration. Embedding vulnerability and fragility in the multilateral development finance is essential for our adaptation, prudent fiscal management and meeting the sustainable goals by 2030. A case in point, Honourable Deputy Speaker, is that if Cyclone Winston, for example, had hit Suva and Nasinu, hit the manufacturing areas and hit the tourism areas, and we were very lucky it did not hit major tourism areas, that would have set us back decades. So even though Fiji is deemed to be a middle-income country, it would have put it into the fragile, vulnerable state. or category, I should say. At the moment, Fiji does not get concessional funding like those countries that are considered to be least developed. So the argument being, should such an event take place, and there's enormous impact on the economy of those countries, then it triggers off and we fall within the vulnerable category and therefore are entitled to concessional funding. The second point that was raised, Honourable Deputy Speaker, was that the PDMC raised strong concerns on the slow response from the Green Climate Fund with regards to the disbursement of funds for approved projects. The PDMC brought to the attention of the ADB management that the slow response from GCF had a derailing impact on national budgetary processes and planning. Significant delays, Honourable Deputy Speaker, can render elements of the envisaged project irrelevant over time, increase project risks, and hence raise the costs of financing. Therefore, the PDMC sought the ADB's assistance to facilitate and streamline the current bureaucratic processes of GCF and further proposed that the ADB step in to provide those approved GCF funds, as this will enable expeditious commencement and completion of projects. In other words, if GCF approves the fund as a grant as part of a wider development project which ADB may be funding, and if the GCF is slow in disbursing those funds, then ADB should pick up that element of it, of the cost, and then once GCF is ready to disburse it, it disburses directly to ADB, because it should not stall the projects that we are focused on. ICT development. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the PDMC also requested for the assistance of ADB to leapfrog the ICT-related development and the digitization of financial inclusion initiatives in the provision of services to our citizens throughout the Pacific. Public-private partnership. Given that the ADB has the expertise and knowledge based in the area of public-private partnerships, the PDMC, Honourable Deputy Speaker, requested if the ADB could provide the necessary support and advice to roll out capital projects through PPPs. This will not only assist to spread out the overall risk, but it will also ease the upfront capital requirement. In addition, the private sector can also bring in the much-needed innovation and expertise related to public sector investments. This approach can also be used to enhance private sector participation in climate change adaptation finance and initiatives. And as we see, and has been highlighted by various members of the presidency of COP23, the Honourable Prime Minister, our climate champion, the Honourable Minister for Agriculture, our other members of the team, that we need to get more financing in the adaptation process as opposed to in the mitigation. A particular attention was also drawn to the regional peer-to-peer learning through the Pacific South-South Cooperation to capitalize on the homegrown talent in the region. The PDMC urged the ADB to work with relevant development partners in the region to coherently coordinate this initiative of leveraging the localized expert and knowledge base within the region. Sometimes we find a lot of consultants can be brought by the different agencies for individual countries. But because a consultant may, for example, have come to Fiji and developed the capacity, we should be able to share that local expertise with a fellow Pacific Island country in the same way. If they have developed some expertise, they can actually share that expertise with us without having us to go outside the region all the time. Moreover, Honourable Deputy Speaker, one of the other key issues that the PDMC highlighted was for ADB to include a provision in the loan documentation going forward and also in existing agreements to allow PDMC to reschedule payments for loan in the event of adverse climatic events. Well, Deputy Speaker, this has already happened in the Caribbean, and we requested the ADB that this arrangement be replicated in the PDMCs. This will demonstrate that climate change and its impacts are being mainstreamed, and it will provide the psychological boost to PDMCs. The argument from the ADB management at one point in time was that, well, look, you have the ability to reschedule payments in any case should you have problems. Not that Fiji has required the rescheduling of payments because of the inability to pay, but, for example, we should include a specific provision so countries that do get impacted upon by a climatic event, they know they have the ability to defer payments if they cannot meet those payments, as has happened in other documentation, for example, in the Caribbean. And in fact, the President agreed with our submission and said that they must include it in the loan documentation that will be now put in place going forward. De-risking and remittances. Honourable Deputy Speaker, remittances being one of our major sources of foreign exchange, the PDMC highlighted the importance of the issues of de-risking and the withdrawal of correspondent banking relations to the Pacific region in terms of facilitating growth and development prospects. Losing or reducing these financial services has a detrimental effect on our economies. Honourable Deputy Speaker, it is in this light that we urgently requested the ADB's assistance in facilitating a regional forum to bring together Pacific banks and the supervisors and regulators, including Australian banks and the supervisors and regulators, to find an amicable solution. This will complement the current efforts applied by the IMF and the World Bank. This de-risking issue has had a huge impact in countries like Samoa, for example, perhaps to a lesser extent to ours, but the other Pacific Island countries actually face enormous problem because of this. Finally, Honourable Deputy Speaker, appreciating that the ADB scale up for minimum allocation in the Pacific, a request was also made to ADB to further increase minimum allocations. A request was also made to ADB to further increase minimum allocations consistent with other multilateral development partners as part of the ADF 12 midterm review. This will especially benefit the smallest and most vulnerable countries in the Pacific. Honourable Deputy Speaker, these issues were also presented by the Fijian government on behalf of the PDMC to the ADB Board of Governors at the first Business Committee meeting on the 6th of May 2017. Honourable Deputy Speaker, alongside the ADB meetings, the Fijian government also organised a special COP23 side event, which was attended by several governors of the PDMC, head of delegations and multilateral organisations. During this event, we highlighted the adverse effects of Tropical Cyclone Winston on the Fijian economy and the importance of climatic change action to Fiji. In particular, we focused on Fiji's COP23 presidency and the key events of the Fijian presidency and the contributions that we have received in forming them of the COP23 Act and the COP23 Presidency Trust Fund. We also highlighted the three key areas for Fijian presidency, which includes, Honourable Deputy Speaker, expediting work on the rulebook of the Paris Agreement, including the 2018 Facilitative Dialogue, scale up work on the Global Climate Action Agenda, given the current uncertain dynamics in the climate change political discourse, and 3, provide greater access to climate financing for adaptation, not necessarily to increase the adaptation, not necessarily to increase the aggregate pool of funds per se, but to change the allocation of funds for climate change between mitigation finance and adaptation finance. There is currently approximately currently an 80-20 split between the financing of mitigation versus financing for adaptation projects. We urge that as part of Fiji's presidency of COP23, Fiji would like to see this ratio move so that there is more financing for adaptation investments, particularly for small states, given that we are at the forefront of experiencing the effects of climate change. Of course, relocation of villages, for example, is the most obvious one. Honourable Deputy Speaker, we also informed them of Fiji's preparation for COP23 presidency to date, including the establishment of the Trust Fund and the COP23 logo, and informed them of the COP23 presidency website, which was recently launched only a few days ago by the Honourable Prime Minister in Bonn. Important people for our COP23 presidency was also highlighted. This includes, of course, the Honourable Prime Minister as the President of COP23, Honourable Minister Siriratu, the high-level climate champion, and Ambassador Nazar Shamim Khan, the Chief Negotiator. Honourable Deputy Speaker, Fiji also had the opportunity to participate in a high-level panel discussion. The panel was moderated by the renowned British Broadcasting Corporation journalist Zainab Badawi. Other members of the panel included the ADB President, the Honourable Mr. Nakao, the Japanese Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Honourable Taro Aso, the Indonesian Minister for Finance, Ms. Sri Mulyani Indrawati, the State Secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Norway, Ms. Ton Sogon, and the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance for India, who is filling in for Minister of Finance Arun Jaitley, Mr. Shaktikant Das. The theme of the panel discussion was Lessons from the 50 years of ADB and its implications for the future. During the panel discussion, we deliberated on the key development challenges faced by small island economies in light of the geographical location, remoteness from major markets, and adverse climatic events. We highlighted, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that it is imperative for climate finance to equate to development finance. We further reiterated that Fiji's presidency for COP23 is timely and important for other countries to commit to the Paris Agreement. In addition, we highlighted various policies that are crucial to address development challenges and better position Pacific Island countries to compete in the global market. We also emphasized that investment in human capital by way of access to education through programs such as free education, tertiary scholarships and loans were important to empower the youth and the young. Also, empowering the younger population through public consultations, such as in the budgetary process, was critical to raise awareness, knowledge, and to tap into the potential of the younger generation. Honourable Deputy Speaker, we also discussed the importance of building resilient infrastructure, as Honourable Minister Bala highlighted earlier on, and remodelling the economy to have diversification. We stated that adherence to international standards and best practices are important to attract investments and create economic opportunities, translating also into employment opportunities. We also highlighted that governments must create opportunities for all citizens to participate in the market on a level playing field. Honourable Deputy Speaker, a number of targeted bilateral meetings were also held to increase Fiji's collaboration with other countries. Bilateral meetings were also held with the Japanese Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Japanese Minister of State for Finance. We met the Canadian, Australians, UK, New Zealand, EU, ADB President, ADB Executive Director, and the New Development Bank. Many of the bilateral meetings were focused on Fiji's appeal for financial contribution towards COP23 presidency. With COP being just 6 months away, we highlighted the contribution that Fiji has received today for COP23 presidency budget, and of course we highlighted in particular our agenda. Indeed, the feedback was that it was very fortuitous to us, given the current political discourse, that a country like Fiji, which does not have any major geopolitical ambitions throughout the world, is able to now have the presidency to be able to bring all the major parties together. Madam Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, as was formally accepted at the meeting, Fiji is now going to host the 52nd ADB annual meeting in 2019. It will be held in Nadi, in particular at the Marriott site. This will be a remarkable occasion, Honourable Deputy Speaker, as it will be the first time ever the ADB annual meeting will be hosted by a PDMC. In other words, the first time it's coming to the Pacific. The ADB President in his speech at the PDMC meeting also acknowledged Fiji's offer to host the 2019 ADB meeting and stated that, and I quote, "In addition to showcasing development progress across the region, the annual meeting in Nadi will be an opportunity to emphasize that development needs in the Pacific are unique," unquote. Honourable Deputy Speaker, in our early preparations for the much anticipated ADB meeting, the Permanent Secretary for Civil Service was also in Japan to note the logistics of the ADB meetings and received very good welcome to be able to start preparing for it now, because we're going to host a good 52nd ADB annual meeting, and indeed we received very good feedback and support from the other Pacific Island countries that were there also. In conclusion, Honourable Deputy Speaker, our attendance in the ADB event was a successful one, together with the bilateral meetings that we had. Furthermore, by the end of the ADB event, ADB had also announced its support for the Fiji's COP23 presidency, and a sum of $1 million US will be deposited into our trust fund, plus on top of that $500,000 of US funds will be given for technical assistance. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I will now call on the Leader of Opposition or designate.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I rise to respond to the statement by the Honourable Attorney General, Minister for Economy, on the COP23 Fiji Presidency and the 50th annual meeting of the Asian Development Bank. Madam Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, let me start by stating that after watching the TV last night, the statement by the Honourable Minister today is the funds needed for the COP23. Fiji and the Fijians wonder who will underwrite this shortfall. Are they going to choke the world or Fiji for that, given Fiji's presidency of COP23? The cost of the COP23 presidency, Madam Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, is stated to be around $26.7 million, of Fiji $55.7 million as of today. The total amount collected so far is only 8% of the initiative we call COP23. What about the balance of the 92%, Honourable Deputy Speaker? Who will pay for this shortfall? Honourable Deputy Speaker, I note that the Honourable Minister mentioned very little on the theme of the ADB meeting, which focused on the Asia-Pacific region, growing need for infrastructure as a critical sector towards achieving sustainable and inclusive development. I was glad, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that our Honourable Attorney General attended, because I'm sure he would have been warned and educated further about the way Fiji is headed, which is quite similar to the factors surrounding the Asia financial crisis when it occurred. The ADB meeting, I noted, had discussions on how to address urban challenges and strive for clean and climate-resilient development, as well as reforms in trade, investment and finances, and lessons learned from the past 50 years of development in the region, with special focus on the Asia development crisis. But what interested me more, Deputy Speaker, was the key sessions on salient issues central to development, including rising inequality, macroeconomic stability, progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, and the financial inclusions. I wonder, Honourable Deputy Speaker, how our Attorney General would have responded to those issues, given it has become blatantly clear in the last couple of years that Fiji has had major increases in inequality, with three main beneficiaries noted from all government development programs, namely the overseas contractors, the rich contractors, the business locally, and the elite favored civil servants and private sector companies of government. It is ironic, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that this be the case for these were noted by academics after scores and scores of researchers following the Asian financial crisis. One of the major issues that was also highlighted through the Asian financial crisis was on government spending, where it dictated spending on public infrastructure projects and guidance of private capital into certain industries contributed, which created asset bubbles that may have been responsible for the crisis. Madam Honourable Deputy Speaker, in the past week, two important revelations were made. First by the World Bank, that Fiji now has a $5 billion debt, and later by the Reserve Bank Governor that Fiji has a revised growth of 3.8%. And note with acceptance that the World Bank's figure, even though I have some reservations on its reliability, but I will have to state that the growth rate by Reserve Bank personally cannot be correlated with the reality on the ground, with a high level of unemployment, an escalating cost of living, especially in food and services, and cost of basic needs, including essential services like electricity and water, clothing and medicines, Deputy Speaker. Overall, we know that as our weather today supports climate change, it is real for Pacific and its issue, which requires our complete and united support to get those that should play leading roles in climate change mitigation to do so. Deputy Speaker, we note that the friendship must be based on the back of the commitment, which was noted right after T.C. Winston's. Well, countries like Australia and New Zealand contributed. It was one of the, if one was to argue what is the relevance and comparison, then that's been lame and ignorant. Real friends show themselves in times of need and are not here to exploit the goodness of our people and use our nation as a dumping ground for cheap products. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I am hopeful that the Attorney General noted and raised similar concerns to the ADB on behalf of the people of Fiji, and has sought to note how the ADB has improved since the implementation of those new safeguard policies, given we have since witnessed a number of settlements in Fiji, with more to be expected, not only for Fiji, but for the region, likewise in the near future, resulting from climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member, for your contribution. I will now call upon the leader of NFP or his designate.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I thank the Honourable Minister for his statement. Honourable Deputy Speaker, it's very important for Fiji to be part of these important meetings. And I also note from the Minister's statement that he himself was able to participate in many of the high-level meetings, and those including bilateral meetings as well. And I think those are positive things for Fiji, for our Minister to be able to participate in those meetings and contribute towards the overall discussion as to how the ADB is going to deal with the emerging issues within the, not only within the Pacific region, but also within the wider ADB region. We also note, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that part of the outcomes of the ADB Board of Governors meeting pay particular attention to the high-level takeaways where the ADB still presses on the need for strong support for infrastructure development. And that is very important. And while the current government is placing priority on climate change funding, it really challenges us as a nation to capitalize on this funding pathways to expedite climate resilience in our infrastructural development with urgency, because that is where we need to put our priority. The other point that the Honourable Minister made was in relation to private-public partnership. And in this sector for climate resilience, it is a very vital component. But the government may well be advised to ensure that national private partnerships are enhanced by proper fiscal policies. And I agree with most of the things that my honourable colleague on this side pointed out with respect to our debt policy, our borrowing policy, and indeed the overall fiscal policies and incentives so that we can take advantage of these private-public partnerships in an effective and an efficient manner. Furthermore, Honourable Deputy Speaker, we cannot stress enough the need for research, development and innovation in this sector, because without that, without looking at new ways of doing these things, with the appropriate policies, with the right incentives, we may not be able to get this realized, because this is not something which is new. It's been talked about for years, the need for private-public partnerships and how this can be enhanced through appropriate policies so that we can create that incentive mechanism to effectively create a threshold of private-public partnership, especially for infrastructure projects in different areas. And perhaps, we, Deputy Speaker, look forward to more of those kind of innovations and appropriate incentives and mechanisms in the budget, and we will examine those carefully. We also note, Honourable Deputy Speaker, a number of issues that the Honourable Minister talked about, and they're all very important. For example, trigger-based financing during diverse times, ICT-related financial inclusion, the assessing correctly the state of vulnerability, the state of fragility of PDMCs, and as a result of getting that appropriately documented and worked out, we can then look at appropriate policies. Finally, Honourable Deputy Speaker, I also note that Fiji has been given the honour of hosting the 52nd annual meeting of the ADB. Indeed, it's a welcome opportunity for us in 2019, especially when we could be sitting on the other side of the House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.